Hello and welcome, limited viewers, to a school project made by a student with no filming or editing skills. We're going to explore some of the creatures that are native to Halifax, Nova Scotia, along with some that are on the North American East Coast. Let's jump right into it. We will be exploring all different types of animals and examining their key transitions and where they fit into the phylogenetic tree. Here we have a cnidarian in the class Tubularia. These interesting creatures go through two body forms in their lifetime. They start as polyps, which we see here. The polyps asexually reproduce to form into a jellyfish form, which we are more familiar with, called the medusa. The medusa will then sexually make gametes and settle to make polyps. Now, here is a medusa cnidarian called the lion's mane. For the obvious reason, it looks like a tiger. This cnidarian has radial symmetry and no body cavity because it is diploblastic. Diploblastic means the cnidarians have two embryonic cell layers lacking a mesoderm layer. Instead, they have a jelly layer, which makes them squishy, just like the famous marine biologist Dory from Pixar's Finding Nemo so eloquently pointed out by naming her jellyfish Squishy. There's also phylum Ctenophora, which have a different type of jellyfish. These jellyfish swim mouth forward and have cilia beating behind them for movement. The main difference between the ctenophores and the cnidarians is that the ctenophores are biradially symmetric. Now we move into the dirt with phylum Annelida, and these little creatures are triploblasts. In fact, all the animals we'll be looking on from here on out are triploblasts, which means they have a mesoderm layer and therefore a body cavity. Now, all worms are complete nightmare fuel, and these polychaetes are no exceptions. Polychaetes are Lophotrochozoans, and they have cephalization, which leads to forward movement and sensing the environment head first. These little creatures are protozoans, which means in the blastopore, they develop into a mouth, so they're very talkative. If you're ever in a rush, do not get into a phone call with one of these, or else you'll be talking for hours about soil quality and this and that. But anyways, now this little demon is using cilia to move, and it looks like it's doing a dance to summon the devil, but that's just how it moves. Now, we are going to look at phylum Mollusca. They are very interesting creatures, and here we see an aquatic snail. These snails are part of the class Gastropoda. These guys have bilateral symmetry, are leucotrophozoas, and have no segmentation. The snail has two very important features, the head foot and the visceral mass. The head foot holds the sensory organs and has the mouth, which holds the radula. The radula has a chitinous ribbon of teeth. The visceral mass holds all the internal organs of the snail, and it is coiled up in its shell. Hopefully, it'll start moving or doing something. Just anything. Who shot this? What? There's nothing happening. What? Oh. All right. You know what? Let's move on to the next phylum. Here we have phylum Arthropoda, which is our first look into the next key transition, the deuterostomes. This animal is the reason I go to therapy. This centipede is truly segmented, and it would be in subphylum Myriapoda. It has a head, thorax, and abdomen tagmata, showing its segmentation. Arthropods have an exoskeleton made of chitin, which is hard and rigid, so they must molt it to grow, which is called ecdysis. Phylum Arthropoda is extremely diverse and makes up over 80% of the named species, so if you ever feel that weird feeling of a bug crawling over you, there probably is one. Here we have a sea star, or as the uncultured would say, starfish. These beautiful creatures fall under the phylum Echinoderm and class Asteroidea. They have pentaradial symmetry and do not have segmentation. They have a two-part stomach, and you see those parts moving on its arm? Those are its tube feet. It's attached to the spine, and it's how they move. The sea star is truly amazing, as it can regenerate its limbs after they've been ripped off. I personally wish I had this trait. After my wife ripped my heart out, I miss her so much. Susan, if you're watching this, please come home. Anyway, every other animal we will see now is under the phylum Chordata. And here we have a bony sandlace fish that are in the subphylum Vertebrata and class Actinocopteroidea. These fish are our first introduction to the vertebrae. An important distinction between these fish and some others, like lampreys, is that they are gnathostomes, which means they have a jaw. Jaws are theorized to have evolved from the third and fourth gill arches. These fish control their depth in water with the swim bladder that exchanges gas from either the esophagus or blood. Talk about bladder control. Here's another fish in class Actinopteridae, a lumpfish. Halifax has many of these bony fish about. This lumpfish has a beautiful yellow color, which can help it blend into the kelp. The lumpfishes do not have scales, but they do have paired fins to help them with their movement. Now, we make a very important transition from water to land with class Amphibia. This video of a toad is from Puerto Rico. While tetrapods were the first to make this bold step to land, we don't have videos of them, but frogs or toads are everywhere. We can clearly see the relation to the ocean-dwelling ancestors by the tadpole of the toads that still need to grow in water. Like those little grow-a-pets that you get from a gift shop, but they're a real animal. Toads are in the order Anura, which means that they do not have a tail, but they do have tailed larvae. Their bony bodies lost a lot of flexibility, so they can transmit force from their limbs into their jumps. So, you know how coaches always say you need to limber up? That's not true. If you want to be a good athlete and get a high jump, you should really stiffen up. Toads can even respire through their skin, which is the main reason they don't wear fashionable clothes. Because if toads could, they'd be killing the fashion game. Now, we are going to leave Halifax for a moment and go to the dumpster fire state that is Florida. We are going to get a great look at a current-day monster, the alligator. Not to confuse you plebeians with a crocodile, which have a much more narrow snout. The alligators are sort of like the siblings that just got like the bad genes. They're a little bit wider and everything, but you know what? They live with it. While alligators look like dinosaurs, they are not, because dinosaurs stand upright with strong knee and ankle joints. The class Crocodilia has a diapsid skull, which means that they have 2 holes on each side of their skull. Some speculate that alligators are saint-like because they're so holy. Ha! No? Alright. Anyways, the reptiles represent the rest of the chordates, removal from water by hatching offspring and eggs independent of water. Reptiles, mammals, and birds are all amniotes based off of the amniotic egg in fetal development, which means we share an ancestor with reptiles, which makes sense as to why Susan was so cold-blooded about leaving me. Let's keep the Florida train going by looking at a whooping crane. Birds are actually living dinosaurs, as they are archosaurs, so next time you see a chicken, know that little thing has T-Rex DNA in it. Like Beyonce, birds' hips don't lie. Birds are in the class Ornithischia, which means bird-hipped, and this is what allows them to stand up straight, just like us humans. Look how that bird is searching for fish to eat. His keratinous beak is sculpted for his eating habits. This one is long and skinny, perfect for catching fish and insects in the mud. The most notable trait of birds is their ability to flight. The hollow bones and feathers are 2 integral parts of birds' ability to fly. Watch how the seagull uses its pectoralis and supracorticoideus muscles to raise and lower its wings in order to create lift and to fly. Birds also have continuous airflow because of their air sacs and parabronchi. This allows air to exit and enter the lungs continuously, which is important since flying is very demanding physically. We have come to our last class, the mammals. Now don't start thinking that you're better than other animals just because you think we're more evolved. Evolution is not a linear path. It is a tree with many branches, and we're just on our own branch. I bet many other animals see us and think we're less evolved. I mean, this mole has me beat by a landslide. Us mammals are synapsids, meaning we have a single pair of temporal lobe openings. An important characteristic for mammals is hair or fur. Look how cute that little vole is. Without fur, it would probably look disgusting. Kinda like a human. We also have integumentary glands, which is where we sweat, where scent, and where milk when we're nursing comes from. Mammals also have heterodont teeth, not homodont teeth like reptiles. Heterodont teeth mean that we have different teeth, like molars or canines. Imagine trying to eat a salad with just our sharpest teeth. It would be a disaster. Mammals have a lot of variation in reproduction too. We can be oviviparous, oviviviparous, and viviparous, and this is how we separate the different groups of mammals. In the end, all of us animals came from a common ancestor, and we must remember none are better than others. We are all equal, and we must protect this earth together if we want to continue this amazing process of evolution. I would like to say a big thank you to Professor Jen, who gave us so many videos and provided us with all the lecture content for this year, and Professor Gibson, who provided me and everyone else with all these videos of local examples, and just for all the work you guys put in during the COVID time. It was truly amazing. I hope to see you in future classes, and thank you so much for a good COVID year.